What's good, everybody? In my video, we're talking about how to simplify, multiply, and divide rational expressions. We hope this video is helpful for you. If it is, smash the like button for us. So when I teach this subject, guys, there's two very important rules: factor, simplify. So when I look at my first example, I could factor this by a greatest common factor. So what I could do to the top is pull out a 2a, and once I do that, we'll have 2a times 3a squared minus 4. Then when we go to the bottom part of the fraction and do the same thing, pulling out a greatest common factor, we're going to pull out 3a. And once we pull out 3a, what we're going to have left is 3a squared minus 4. Now, a lot of times students want to continue trying to factor what's in the parentheses, but guys, if it's the same thing, just remember anything divided by itself is 1. So we could cancel that out. Now, another mistake with this problem I see students make is that they'll sometimes forget that they could do the same exact thing with a. A divided by a is 1, so we could cancel that out. So my final answer would be 2 over 3 in this example. But in problem number 2 now, we have a regular trinomial that we need to factor, and this is how we're going to do it. So step 1, like I said, we factor. I noticed that my top could be simplified to x plus 3 times x plus 2. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the bottom. X plus 4 times x plus 2. So now I realize we have the same factor in the numerator and the denominator. We cancel it, and what we have left is x plus 3 divided by x plus 4. But in our next two examples, they're going to throw a little curveball in there. Let's see if we can solve it together. What we have to understand is that we need to pull a greatest common factor. They gave us a coefficient trying to make it more complicated to factor, but we got this. So if I pull out 2 in the top, I'm going to be left with x squared plus 6x plus 9. All right, and then in the bottom, we're going to pull out a greatest common factor of 3. And what we'll have left is x squared minus x minus 12. So now we focus our attention to only what's inside the parentheses. And on the top, I noticed that this is going to break down to x plus 3 times x plus 3. So now we've completely factored the top part. Now let's go down to the bottom and do the same thing. I'm going to get x minus 4 times x plus 3. Now, similar to the last problem, guys, after we factor completely, we always want to check if we could simplify. We could cancel x plus 3 and x plus 3. And then my final answer would be 2 times x plus 3 divided by 3 times x minus 4. Now, please be advised that sometimes they may actually distribute this, and your final answer would be 2x plus 6 over 3x minus 12. They'll do something like this, but typically they're going to leave it in the most simplified version. But just please know or be able to recognize both. Now, problem number 2, we're focusing on this one because they throw this in there as a curveball, meaning a lot of the times they're going to say, hey, x squared plus 24. When we have to know that x squared plus 24, we cannot factor that anymore. It wouldn't be the same as a difference of squares. But when this is a subtraction sign and this is the difference of squares, we can factor this. So we're going to have x plus 8 times x minus 8 on top. Our bottom is going to stay the same. And we now know that we could cancel out x plus 8 with x plus 8. So what is the final answer? Sometimes I see students put 1 over x minus 8. That will not be right, guys. Just make sure that you pay attention and remember that, hey, this x minus 8 was in the numerator, so we could leave it as x minus 8. If you have it over 1, that is okay, but 9 times out of 10, you're not going to see it expressed like this over 1 as a final answer. In this part of the video, guys, we're talking about multiplying rational expressions. It's the same exact steps. So when we look at this, guys, we always want to simplify first. Please do not try to multiply these straight across. It's going to be a headache. So I look up here at the top in that first fraction. We have x plus 4 times x minus 4. And then we could simplify the bottom by pulling out a greatest common factor of 2. Now we have x plus 4 on the bottom. And then when we go to the second half of the fraction, top stays the same. On the bottom, we're going to have x plus, let's see, x plus 4 times x plus 4. Now, how can we simplify these? This is what we could do. We could cross cancel, right? We could get x plus 4, x plus 4, x plus 4, x plus 4. And then what we're actually left with right now is going to be x minus 4 on top divided by 2 times x plus 4. So this is why it's so important for us to always factor as much as possible, because when we're multiplying, guys, it's the same steps. Factor, simplify. We're not actually going to multiply, and this will be our final answer. So in this next problem now, what happens is the factoring becomes a little bit more complicated. So when we look at this first part of the problem, guys, we could take out 2x. Once we take out 2x, we're going to be left with x minus 5 on top. And then when we go down to the bottom, we could simplify this to x minus 5 times x minus 4. With the multiplying rational expressions, factoring is so important because they're going to try to throw tricks in there, right? Now we go on to the second part, and this was basically the same exact problem as the previous one, but 8x is now negative. So what does that mean? Well, C is positive, so it lets me know that my factors are both going to have the same sign, which would be x minus 4, right? 4 plus 4 gives me the negative 8. When we multiply 4 and 4, we get positive 16. And then we have 4x squared on the bottom. It stays the same. Now at this step, we could simplify. So we have x minus 5 is gone with x minus 5. And then I have x minus 4 with x minus 4. So what is left over, Mr. Peters? I'm glad you guys asked. We have 2x times x minus 4 all over 4x squared. Now, at first, a lot of people are going to think, oh, we're done, Mr. Peters. And that is not necessarily true. I want you guys to take a look at this trick real quick for you all, okay? So what we're going to do here now, we're going to focus on 4x squared and 2x. So if I divide by 2x, this is going to be 1, meaning I have x minus 4 on top, and then on the bottom, I'm just going to have 2x. So when we think about our final answer for this problem, guys, this is going to be our final answer. Don't let this confuse you or throw you off with what the right answer is. Be sure to check and double check your factoring. So in this problem now, guys, another multiplication problem, but we noticed that there's not much that we could factor apart from this numerator right there. So once I rewrite this, we have 5x times x minus 3 multiplied by 3 times x minus 3. All we could do is pull out a greatest common factor. So once I do that, x minus 3 is gone, and we could multiply straight across, right? 5x times 3 gives me 15x. This is all over 15 because this is just 1 here. And then remember, guys, this is not our final answer. Always double check to see if you can simplify, because this is the trick. 15 divided by 15 is just 1. So if I simplify this to 1, all I'm left with is just x, and x is going to be my final answer. But we have one more part of this video where we talk about division. Please make sure you guys stay around for that, because we got some good tips for you guys. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying this video. If you have, smash the like button for us. Really helps us to get this video to more students. So they throw us a curveball now, guys. Every other problem had a numerator and a denominator. So if you get something like this, right? Let's say we go ahead and we factored, right? Took out a greatest common factor. we have x plus 3 divided by x plus 2. What happens to the second half part of this fraction? So guys, remember, first part of the fraction, when we're dividing, it stays the same. Our division side turns into multiplication. And if you get stuck on a problem like this, what I want you to do from the beginning is turn it into a fraction, meaning put it over 1. So now when we flip the fraction or take the reciprocal, 1 is going to be on top and x plus 3 is on the bottom. This is a way not to get confused when they throw this trick in there for you, because they will. So now we cross cancel, and what I have left over is 3 divided by x plus 2. And that should be my final answer. Now, when we move on to the last problem of the day, guys, remember division is what we've always been doing. We just have exponents and variables. Keep the first fraction the same, change the division and multiplication, flip the last end, right? Or the last part of the fraction, I should say. But before we get there, we have to remember simplify, right, by factoring, and then we could do that. So in the top, we're going to have x minus 5 times x plus 3, right? That's all over x minus 2. And then we're going to turn this into a multiplication problem, and we're going to take the reciprocal from now. So I have x minus 2 on top, and when we factor x squared minus 10x plus 25, we're going to get x minus 5 times x minus 5. We're multiplying the same binomial with itself. Now we could go ahead and simplify by cross canceling, right? So x minus 2 cancels with x minus 2. X minus 5 cancels with x minus 5. What I'm left with is x plus 3 on top divided by x minus 5 on bottom. And this is how you simplify and multiply and divide with rational expressions. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Smash the like button for us. Leave any comments for future videos you guys would like to see, or if you had questions on this video. And thank you guys so much for joining Algebra 1 with Mr. Peters.